Hello everyone, DM Gashbad here, and as promised, a little late, but nonetheless, back with Warhammer Quest, the original 1995 game and the continuing adventures of the Louts of Chaos. A group that not so much fell to the lure of the dark gods as staggered drunkenly towards them. I'm going to try and go over the team really briefly this time because I just had a game of this 2 weeks ago and not much has changed. The team is led by Lief the Legbiter, my Barbarian, who is battle level 3, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 4+, strength 4, toughness of 9 thanks to all the armor he's wearing, 2 attacks around, and 27 wounds. He's got a bunch of rerolls and magic items, but his favorite weapon is a club that gives him +1 to hit and +1 damage to level, so +3 damage with every strike. Next in the initiative order is 100 Luftballoon the Wizard, also battle level 3. Weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 6+, strength 3, toughness 5, again some nice magic items on him, 2 attacks around with starting wounds of 16. As a wizard he has 17 power tokens that he can draw on. His spells are Confuse, Lightning Bolt, Heal Wounds, Freeze, Cure Small Wounds, Levitate, Firehammer, and Resurrection. As far as weapons, he has his Wizard Staff, which is -1 to hit but gives him an additional toughness, bringing him up to 6 if he chooses to use that. It can also re-roll the power score once per adventure, but he usually uses these days an axe that's +1 to hit and +1 attack. The next 2 characters have the same initiative, so I rolled off to see which one is going to go first in the initiative order, and this time it goes to Naughtiness Maximus, my pit fighter. Naughtiness is the only level 4 character, the rest of them are level 3, which means this is still a level 3 adventure. Naughtiness has weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 6+, strength of 4, toughness of 5, thanks to his full suit of pit fighter armor that he's got. His profile says 2 attacks around, although he's got equipment to up all of that. He also has 2 damage, the only character that does. So every time he strikes, he rolls 2d6 instead of 1d6 to determine the amount of wounds he does. He has 34 wounds. His favorite weapon is his fist spike, which he managed to enchant in a previous adventure. It does an extra d6 wounds on the roll of a 6 and also gives him an extra 2 attacks around. He can't do death blow attacks with it, but if he kills something with a fist spike, he gets to move into the square that it occupied. He also has 2 knee spikes for an additional 2 attacks, and toe blades. That gives him yet another attack. He's enchanted those as well, so they do an extra d6 wounds on the roll of a 6, and they allow for no armor reductions. Finally, we have Ivor Shando, my level 3 dwarf, or Chaos Dwarf in this case. Weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 5+, strength 3, toughness 9 again, lots of armor. 2 attacks around and 23 starting wounds. Favorite magic weapon is an axe that is +1 damage per level, so +3 damage with each strike, and also parries incoming attacks on the roll of a 6, which I completely forget about in this game and don't use at all. He also has the Boots of Battle, which give him 1 more attack at -1 to hit but +1 strength. That's it for the Louts. Let's take a look at today's mission. I shuffle up the basic 5 starting locations and I draw the Tomb Chamber. I roll adventure number 3 and we get Return the Crown. Kind of a confusing setup, but if I'm reading this correctly, a Dwarf Hold, or Chaos Dwarf Hold in this case, has recently discovered a nearby monster-infested tomb chamber that belongs to the lord of a neighboring town. The neighboring town catches wind of this and believes that it holds one of their ancestral heirlooms, this crown of an ancient king. They demand it back. The big dwarf city is fine, have it, but the only people dumb enough that they can find to go into the depths and retrieve this thing is our group. They say they'll give us each a randomly drawn treasure card for completing the task and maybe a round of drinks. That's all the bribery we need. Setting up the dungeon cards is the same as it always is for Warhammer Quest. You take the objective card and shuffle it in with 6 randomly drawn dungeon room cards. Shuffle those up and then deal another 6 dungeon cards on top of that. The trick is that the first room that we find in the adventure is going to hold a big suspicious looking chest that probably holds the crown. The problem is it's chained to the ground, magicked, and locked, so we have to go all the way through the dungeon to find the objective room, the Tomb Chamber, where we'll find the key. Once we get the key, after defeating all the objective room monsters, then we have to haul ourselves back to the starting room where we found the chest, unlock it, and then we can complete the adventure. So a little extra travel time, but nothing I think our group can't handle. So with everything all squared away, I draw the first card in the dungeon deck, and I get the torture chamber, which is of course a room. We don't get monsters when we draw it as the initial starting room, but that does mean that since our first card is the room, this is where we find that chest. Makes sense, is where the Chaos Dwarfs, I guess, discovered that this was the tomb, and this probably held that fancy crown that everyone's talking about. But it means that I'm going to have to go all the way back to the beginning in order to open the thing. As always, I get to start wherever I like in this starting room, so I set up at the far side by the doorway that I'm going to explore. We roll our power score, and of course, because my wizard is level 3, I'm adding 2 to every die roll, so we get a total of 5. No surprise monsters means we get to explore in the exploration phase, and we find a corridor. Next turn, power score 4, we just move down the corridor. Turn after that, power score 6, we move towards the doorway, and we explore the Well of Doom. Okay, room, now we're going to get events. Power score of 5 for the next round, and so we move into the room like this. Again, I think my guys are tough enough so that I don't have to line up against one of the side walls to reduce the amount of incoming attacks. I'm feeling a little bit more bold, except of course for my wizard. He still goes in the corner to protect himself. But Lief goes on the far side so that if we get lucky and we don't get any monsters, I can explore in the next round. And Naughtiness and Ivor go in the center because they are not scared at all. I'm just rearranging my positioning a little bit to allow large monsters that take up 4 squares to be able to have the space to fit into these rooms. I don't want them jammed up in the corridor behind us. Not that it matters, because now we draw an event card for going into an unexplored room, and we get an event. No monsters, just an event. So I roll on the event chart in the role-playing book, and I get number 44, which is Portcullis. And that is bad news. Normally, a portcullis would slam behind us, preventing us from moving past until we pick up the key, which is a random occurrence on the event chart on a D66. I could spend the next 10 years of my life in this dungeon and not get that exact event rolled up. And I have to go back that way because I have to get to that starting room. So not wanting to deal with all that, I use one of Lief the Legbiter's Lucky Charms, which allows him to reroll 1 die per game. So I decide to reroll the tens digit on this encounter chart, and I end up with 41, which is a lightning bolt. So a lightning bolt goes down, a trap is sprung, and it zaps a random model, in this case Naughtiness Maximus. He takes 4 points of damage. I then have to roll another die, and on a 1, 2, or 3, it zaps the closest character and keeps on chaining across my party. But I do pretty well and roll a 4+, and so it just ends with cooking Naughtiness Maximus a little bit. There's no additional encounters with this event card, so we move on. Hundert is on hand. He's got a nice amount of power to deal with, so he uses Heal Wounds to cure Naughtiness Maximus back up to full, and Lief the Legbiter explores in the exploration phase and finds a T-junction. So the dungeon deck is dealt from the bottom, alternating between the 2 paths of the T-section, and we move on. New round, and I roll a 1 for the power score, which means it's another encounter. I draw an event card, and again, no monsters, just an encounter. Not only that, I immediately go and roll 44 again, which is the Portcullis, which I cannot let stand. So Hundert goes and uses one of his Lucky Charms to re-roll the tens die, and this time we get 14. 14 is Warrior, so a lost and starving member of the initial Chaos Dwarf Expeditionary Force staggers out to us. We point him the way back to the entrance, and in return he tells us what the next 3 dungeon cards are. So I get to draw the top 3 dungeon cards and then rearrange them in any order that I want. Here's the situation. There are 5 cards on the top passageway and 4 cards on the south passageway. I know the top card in both of the piles is definitely not the objective room. The north passageway has 4 cards that could be the objective room. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the top card from the south passageway and the top 2 cards from the north passageway. No objective room, but I do find a T-section, a passageway, and a stairway. Okay, so now I know the north passageway has 2 cards that are definitely not the objective room and 3 cards that might be. And the south passageway will have 1 card that's definitely not the objective room and all again 3 that may be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the T-section down in the south. I'm going to explore that area first because it's shorter. And I'm going to put the other 2 passageways, the stairway and the corridor, in the north. I then have to roll a d6 to see if anything is chasing our friend the Chaos Dwarf that we just met, and we don't get anything, so we're done. I move into the T section like that, prepare to head south. Power score 8 again, and I move up to the archway. Explore it in the exploration phase. Big surprise, I find the T section. The reason I put the T section in the south was because it allowed me to explore this area really quickly. There's only 2 cards to the left, and there's only 1 card to the right, so I can just peek into the passageway on the right, see if there's anything interesting there, and if there isn't, then I just go the other direction. Power score 8 again, move into the T section according to the plan. Power score 4, Lief moves over to the right and explores. 1 in 6 chance this could be the objective room. It is not, just a corridor leading to a dead end. Okay, that's fine. New round, power score 4, we move off to the left. Power score 5, move further to the left. Explore in the exploration phase. Doing pretty well not rolling up any unexpected events again. This might be an easy adventure again. 1 in 5 chance of finding the objective room. Not to be. We find another T section. Not really that helpful. There's only 1 card remaining, so the T section leading south is just a dead end. New round, roll a 1. Spoke too soon. Draw our event card and we get a monster. Alright, cool. Let's see what these level 3 monsters are like. We didn't get a really good sampling of them last game. And we get the 12 giant rats and 12 snotlings. Now, that's not really that interesting. I've fought these guys lots of times. They're not really going to be that much of a challenge for my guys. Well, there's a bunch of stuff that has to happen before we get onto the main combat. Number 1, we have to roll to see if Naughtiness Maximus gets his pit fighter reaction. He does not. He just acts as normal. And the snotlings get to attack immediately. They got the ambush rule. The way the snotlings work is I have to draw a warrior counter, and they're all going to try and gang up on that particular model if they can. They make a poor choice and go after Ivor the Chaos Dwarf. So 6 snotlings are able to gang up on him, but even with +5 to hit and +5 strength, bring them up to strength 6, they're not able to get through Ivor's armor and cause him any damage. The last 2 snotlings try and hurt Lief, which is absolutely futile, can't possibly hurt him. So on to the player phase. First we go with Lief the Leg Biter. He is not berserked this round, but doesn't go around cutting his friends. He uses the Blade of Leaping Bronze instead of his favorite club. That's just going to give him +2 attacks. With that, he kills all 3 snotlings he's adjacent to. We move on to Hundert. Hundert takes a step forward very bravely and kills the 2 giant rats in the T section to the left. Naughtiness Maximus breaks out his fist spike. He gets 4 attacks total with that. Manages to punch his way to the right, killing 3 snotlings. Then with his knee spikes and toe blades, kills 1 more snotling and 2 giant rats. Ivor Shando adds to the carnage by killing 3 more snotlings. About what you would expect from these guys. In the monster phase, in the north passageway, the snotlings walk up and try to attack Ivor, but they can't possibly hurt him. The giant rats are a bit of a different situation, however. If the rats hit, they cause 2d6 +2 damage to my warriors. So the rats down the right passageway move up to Naughtiness Maximus, and he takes 5 points of damage from their strikes. The good news is that after they attack, you roll a die, and on a 3+, their frenzied attack leaves them vulnerable, and your warrior squashes them. So both of the rats die to the various blades jutting out of Naughtiness's armor. Hundert on the left, meanwhile, comes out even worse. He's hit twice by the rats for 5 and 7 points of damage, 12 total. Uh-oh. He's down to just 4 hit points remaining. Both the rats die, which is nice, and he does have that 1 power from the beginning, which allows him to use Cure Small Wounds on himself and heal himself 1 back. But that was fairly brutal. Still, I'm feeling reasonably confident about the whole situation, but then we go to the power score for the next round and roll another 1. Okay, this is more like what I'm talking about. This is what I expect from Warhammer Quest. We go into the encounter deck and we find 5 black orcs and 10 goblins with spears. Now it's a party. Not only that, Lief still has to roll on his berserk check and rolls a 1. He puts another point of damage onto poor Hundert and can't do anything else this round. Not great timing, Lief. Well, Hundert's up next, and he does not like the look of all this. With his axe, he goes and kills 2 goblins, but can't put any damage on the black orc next to him, and then he slips on his invisibility ring. This is a once-per-adventure magic item that prevents all attacks from targeting Hundert. I'm still feeling confident about this adventure, but it's a lot different from the last one. Already used 2 rerolls and a magic item. Naughtiness Maximus is up next with his various leg attacks. Naughtiness don't skip leg day. He kills 2 rats and 1 goblin. The nice thing about those leg attacks is that they can in fact cause death blows. Then he takes out the fist spike, kills off a goblin, punches to death a black orc, and moves into his square, punches to death a goblin, and moves into his square. Then we're over to Ivor, who manages to kill another black orc. So that wasn't too bad. The bad guys are up next, and they move up. Can't target 100, of course. And it turns out they couldn't get through the armor of the remaining warriors. No damage this round, not bad. 100 uses that 1 power from the round to heal himself 1 more wound. New round, power score of 4, still on the low side. But the good news is that Lief goes berserk. Don't have to roll for that anymore, and he gets an extra attack. He immediately sets about the enemies around him, killing off 1 black orc and causing 6 points of damage to another with his favorite club. 100, meanwhile, fighting for his life, kills off 2 rats and the wounded black orc. Man, that wizard is fighty now. Naughtiness Maximus kills off another black orc and then punches a goblin to death, moving into his square, and then he misses the snotlings twice. He only misses on ones, manages to roll 2 of them. That's okay, he still has 1 more attack. He's going to go into that goblin with his toe blades, hoping to kill him and use that death blow attack. Nope, rolls another 1. Not very impressive from Naughtiness this round. Ivor tries to break his pin so he can move further into the hordes, but he fails, and so he's just stuck there. He does kill a goblin and 2 snotlings, which is fine, and 100 uses heal wounds to heal himself 3 wounds. In the monster phase, the rats move up and miss Ivor and Naughtiness. That's nice, and not only that, they both die, so good riddance. The goblins are the only ones that are left. The black orcs and snotlings are all dead. They attack 100 Naughtiness, my 2 more vulnerable characters, but can't cause any damage to them. New round, power score 8, there we go. Lief moves up and kills the 2 goblins to the left. 100 moves to the right and kills 1 goblin over there. Naughtiness wants to move forward so that he can be adjacent to the giant rats in the north, but again he fails his break pin roll, so he just mashes the last goblin into a fine messy pulp. That's okay, my Chaos Dwarf is up to the task, moves to the north and kills off the last 2 giant rats. Combat is over, we have won. We get 2 treasure cards because we've beaten 2 encounters worth of monsters. The first one is gold. All my characters get to roll as many d6s as they like. They get that amount times 10 in gold, unless any of the dice are 1, in which case they get nothing at all. Everyone rolls 2d6. Lief ends up with 100 gold, 100 rolls a 1 and gets nothing, Naughtiness finds 80 gold, Ivor again, nothing. The other treasure card gets us Armor of Fortune. Armor of Fortune is a magic armor. It can absorb 30 wounds worth of attacks, but when it gets down to 0, it explodes and it takes the warrior immediately to 0 wounds. No thank you. Nah, I don't need that. Ivor can carry it around and sell it off when we get to town. And to round out the turn, 100 uses heal wounds to heal himself 6. So, monsters are all dead, new round, power score of 4. Lief is going to move off to the west to check out what that final room is. The rest of my guys are just going to mill around in the center of that T-section. Kind of a dumb thing for me to do. If that was the objective room over there on the left, then I'm going to have to hustle over there. I'm not really saving myself any time. So new round, power score 8, I have figured it out. Lief moves up to the doorway, the rest of my guys move over to help him. But it's all for naught, we find a corner. No objective room down the south passage, we gotta go up to the north. Meanwhile, 100 has been busy, he healed himself up to full last round. This round he heals Naughtiness Maximus up to full. New round, power score of 7, we start disappointedly moving in the opposite way. Power score 6, back to the last T-section. Power score 8, move up to the next T-section. Power score 6 again, move up to that doorway in the north. We know what we're going to find. We're going to find the passageway. New round, roll a 1. And again, it's an event. This time we get 65, Chaos Knight. Another positive encounter. We find Chaos Knight on a personal quest. He warns us about some monsters further down the passageway, so in the next monster encounter, all my guys get +2 attacks on the first round of combat. Whoa, that's a lot. Feel sorry for whoever's next to run into the louts. We move further into the hallway after talking to the knight. Next round, power score 4, move forward, and as predicted, we explore the stairwell. Power score 8 the next round, move into the stairwell, going down. Power score 7, we go and explore at the end of the stairwell. Only 3 cards remaining, 1 in 3 chance it's the objective room. It is not, we find another corridor. New round, we roll a 1, so we're gonna get an encounter, and this time it's monsters. We get D3 trolls, but we only get 1 of them. Not only that Chaos Knight had warned us about this troll. We are ready to murder this guy. This poor troll. Lief immediately goes berserk because he's killed so many monsters by this point. He's getting plus 1,000,000 to his die roll. He does have to make a fear roll. Trolls are fear 6, which means he needs to roll a 4 or more to not be afraid. He fails, so he's -1 to hit this troll. Even so, he's still got 5 attacks that result in 3 hits for a total of 22 points of damage. The trolls only have 30 wounds. It's not looking good for this guy. Hundred is also afraid, but again hits 3 times for another 7 points damage. Troll's down to just 1 wound remaining. Naughtiness Maximus is up next. He is not afraid of the troll. In fact, he is so not afraid, he doesn't do anything. He just stands there and motions to Ivor, saying, you go ahead, you kill this troll, you need the gold. Boosted by the vote of confidence, Ivor is also not afraid and promptly chops the head off of the troll. So that's a lot of experience for Ivor, and the treasure item that we get is the Chalice of Fate. Oh, is that something you can drink from? Lief will take that. The Chalice of Fate allows you to re-roll the wizard's power score once per adventure. Very handy. Stepping over the troll corpse, we get a power score of 6 and move down the corridor. New round, another power score of 6, move up to the doorway. There's only 2 cards remaining, 50-50 chance on this next one. Hey, we get the Tomb Chamber, objective room ahead. The Tomb Chamber has 2 levels, and we're using the rules from the Lair of the Orc Lord, so that if you're up a level, you're +1 to hit and -1 to be hit, and the stairs count as the level above. So not bad. All we have to do is defeat the monsters in here, and then head all the way back to the chests in the very first room. So new round, we get a power score of 5, and move into the chamber like that. Try and get as many people on the upper level as I can. So now we have to roll on the advanced objective room monster chart. I think we roll a 3 and end up with 1 roll on the level above us, which would be level 4, and 2 rolls on our current level. So kind of a lot. The thing with this is that I have even less monsters available for monster level 4. So I have to roll a bunch of times in order to get something that I want. The thing that I didn't take into account is that when you do that, your odds of rolling a double 1 or a double 6 increase, which means that you roll on the next monster level above, and that's exactly what I do. I spend so long trying to find a monster that I have miniatures painted for that I eventually get that double 1, and now I'm rolling on monster level 5. Probably should have done a thing where I make 1 roll on monster level 5, and if I don't have those monsters, I go back down to monster level 4. But I don't do that. I keep rolling on monster level 5, hoping to get some stuff that I do have. And of course the issue with that is that that increases my chances of rolling that double 1 or double 6 again and going up to monster level 6. So maybe in the future, this isn't how I'm going to do things. The good news is that I don't roll that second set of double 1s or double 6s, and I do finally get a monster level 5 encounter that I can put on the board. There's some tough stuff on this chart. What I finally end up with are 3 ogres, 3 minotaurs, and 3 rat ogres. All right, the rat ogres are some of those models that I just got painted. I've also never fought them before in Warhammer Quest. For my first roll on monster level 3, I also got something that I haven't deployed yet. I get plague bearers. I get a pretty small number of them though, only 5. And for the final group of monsters, a little bit of an anticlimax, I get 12 giant spiders and 12 giant bats. By this point, I've filled up all of the tomb chamber and the corridor to the east, and so I only managed to get 5 of the 12 giant bats in there. You know what? That is okay. So we're on to the next round, and we get a power score of 5. Good start. Unfortunately, that goes south pretty quickly. Lief rolls a 1 for his berserk roll. I really don't want that to stand, so I use up yet another one of his lucky charms, and I get a 6, which means he's frenzied. Much better. Thank you, Lief. Now that I'm not going crazy, I'm going to go and attack these minotaurs, because those are the most dangerous things in contact with Lief. Because I'm a level above, I'm +1 to hit, And I think about it, and I think I'm gonna go with my Frostblade. The Frostblade is a magic weapon that Lief's carrying around. It only gives him one attack, and he can only use it once per adventure, but if he causes any damage to something, it automatically kills him. I think this is a good time to use it, so I wheel around, target the Minotaur, roll for my fear. Minotaurs are fear 5, I need to roll a 3+, not afraid, hits with the Frostblade, kills the Minotaur, freezes into a solid chunk of ice, topples over and shatters. Good start. Hundred is up next. He is also going to target the Minotaurs, also unafraid. It's at this point that I remember I've got some magic items that are good for big combats like this. So I go over to Naughtiness Maximus really quickly, and he's going to use his Chalice of Vigor. So for the duration of combat, if any of my guys roll a 6 to hit, we're going to add an additional D3 damage. Anyway, back to Hundert. He's going to cause 6 points of damage to the Minotaur and then over to Naughtiness Maximus. Unfortunately, he fails his fear roll, and so he's -1 to hit these Minotaurs. Nonetheless, he kills the wounded Minotaur with his knee spikes. Then he turns to the next Minotaur and gets a crit. That means it's 3d6 plus 4 plus d3 damage, kills it in 1. Very impressive. He's still got more attacks, and so it's on to the ogres. Unfortunately, he's afraid of them too. What's going on, Naughtiness? I believe that means he misses with his last attack. Ivor now is in the unenviable position of fighting all 3 rat ogres. That would bother lesser Chaos Dwarfs, but not Ivor. He passes his fear test and attacks and causes 8 points of damage to the lower rat ogre. The rat ogres, if you are curious, are fear 5 with 20 wounds each. Their weapon skill 4 with strength and toughness of 5, they do 2d6 damage on a successful hit, and they have 2 attacks. Those are some impressive numbers. So that was a pretty good initial salvo, but Naughtiness Maximus has the time freeze ring, which gives all of my warriors an additional warrior phase. I see no reason not to do that immediately. If this isn't the toughest combat that we get into in this dungeon, then we're in a lot of trouble. So, warping space-time, my louts go again. Lief the Legbiter is unafraid of ogres and kills the one on the left. Hundert, also unafraid of ogres, does 6 points of damage to the one by him. Naughtiness Maximus would like to break his pin to go help out Ivor against those rat ogres, but he can't. None of my guys have great pin breaking rolls. He kicks the ogre that Hundert wounded to death, but then misses all of his remaining attacks on that ogre in the lower right. I don't know what you're doing there, Naughtiness. It's not great. It's possible that part of the reason that he missed all of his attacks was that he was trying to sing at the exact same time. See, in one of the town events, he was taught a song so terrible, so ear-splittingly bad, that it can target and kill a monster once per adventure. Anyway, you have to target something worth less than 300 gold, so I target one of the plague bearers. I will kill it on a 5+, I fail, and I feel that he just can't do 2 things at once, and so that's why he had a less than successful turn. Ivor, however, does his dwarf lineage proud and kills the rat ogre in the lower right with 2 axe crits and a kick to the head. That was an impressive set of dice rolls. Maybe he likes Naughtiness' song. Sort of a Chaos Dwarf battle hymn, who knows? With all that, the power of the time freeze ring fades, and we're on to the monster's turn. Lief the Legbiter is just fighting the lone plague bearer and isn't hurt by him. These plague bearers have weird stats in Warhammer Quest. They're not what you would expect from playing Warhammer Fantasy. Weapon skill 5, kinda high. Strength 4, yeah, okay. Toughness is only 3 with 9 wounds. They're demonic -1, meaning you have -1 to hit them if you're not striking with a magic weapon, but all my guys are, so that doesn't matter. They're also fear 5, and they have 2 attacks. I don't know, it's almost like in the printing process somewhere, the demonettes and the plague bearers switched stats. They do a lot better against Hundert, though. He's going to take 4 points of damage. Naughtiness Maximus is going to take 5. And then the rat ogres step up, and they hit Ivor 3 times. Even with that toughness 9 of his, they end up causing 17 points of damage. Uh-oh. Hundert was sitting on that 5 power from the very beginning of the round. He casts Cure Small Wounds and Heal Wounds on Ivor, heals him back a total of 5. Still, this guy could be in trouble. Finally, the bats fly so they can get into the middle of there. They just miss, don't do any damage. And over to the next round. And we get a power score of 1. Okay, I don't really want to deal with that. This is a lot of stuff that I'm in the middle of. I use Hundert's Wizard Staff to reroll that result, and I get another 1. Uh-oh. That's okay. We've got the Chalice of Fate. Nothing I found in Warhammer Quest says that you can't reroll a reroll, so Lief is going to take some Battle Brew from the Chalice of Fate, and we reroll that 1, and we get a 6. Much better. Total power score of 8. Kind of burning through my rerolls, though. Alright, over to Lief. Unafraid of the Plague Bearers, kills the one in front of him, and also chops up that bat behind him. Hundert, also unafraid of Plague Bearers, hits with a crit against the Plague Bearer, and then maxes out all of his dice, killing him. Even gets the death blow, and with that bonus attack, chops that one up as well. Hundert, you beast. Naughtiness Maximus still has to kill that scary ogre that he's dealing with. -1 to hit because he's afraid, +1 to hit because he's on the stairs though. Even so, misses with both of his knee spikes. Finally lands a kick for 5 points of damage, and then punches him to death moving into his square. He now gets to try and stab the Rat Ogre. He's not afraid of them. I don't know why he was afraid of Minotaurs and Ogres, but not afraid of Rat Ogres, but there you go. Anyway, he hits that Rat Ogre for 5 points of damage, and we're over to Ivor, who again crits the Rat Ogre. Man, he's got these guys' numbers. Then he lands that kick with the Boots of Battle, kills himself another Rat Ogre. Hot dice. Feeling pretty good, we round out the turn by 100 Luftballoon using Freeze. Takes 5 of the 8 power. He gets to roll a d6, and that many enemies take that amount of damage. He only rolls a 1, so he manages to kill off 1 spider. Back over to the monsters, the Rat Ogre, still trying to smash Ivor into the ground, punches him for 4 points of damage. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Hundert is hit by a spider and webbed, and a bat bites him for 2. The rest of my guys escape unharmed. New round, power score of 7. Lief has a rather unimpressive turn and only causes 5 points of damage to the Plague Bearer. Hundert is webbed, which is a big problem. He has to roll a d6 and add his strength, and if he gets 7 or above, he breaks free, which means he only has a 50-50 chance. Thankfully, he does it. These giant spiders could be a huge problem. Goes nuts with that magic axe of his, kills off 2 spiders and 2 bats. I feel like that was a little bit of a close call, so now I'm a little bit worried about these spiders. So we're over to Naughtiness Maximus, and he punches a spider to death, moves into his square, uses his knee spikes to kill off 2 more, and then plants 10 damage on the Rat Ogre. Unfortunately, Ivor's dice cool off by quite a bit, and he only causes 3 more points of damage to the Rat Ogre. That means he's got 7 health left. Hundert is going to use the spell Freeze again. I know I can't kill off the Rat Ogre, but what can you do? I do roll a 6 though, which means that I kill off 5 spiders and a Plague Bearer. That's going to clear out that room quite a bit. Sure enough, all the bad guys move, scuttle, fly up, and they attack my good guys, and they all miss. No damage caused, with one important exception. The Rat Ogre absolutely has Ivor's number, hits him twice with double 6s. This could be bad. The first strike only causes 2 points of damage. Alright, maybe I'm going to be okay. And then hits him for max damage, double 6s, which means Ivor takes 8, and down he goes. First character down to 0. Sorry, Chaos Dwarf. Thankfully, there's still 2 power remaining. Hundert goes and uses one of it to bring Ivor back to life, just with 1 health remaining, using Cure Small Wounds, and then uses Cure Small Wounds on himself, give himself an extra hit point. Alright, I think we're in the end game now. Power score of 8. Lief the Legbiter up first, kills off 3 of the bats. Hundert kills a Plague Bearer, jeez that guy, and another bat. Naughtiness Maximus kills a bat and a spider. And I'm going to leave the Rat Ogre for Ivor. He's been doing pretty well. The Rat Ogre has 7 health remaining, and I've got a plan. Ivor is going to use his Grudgelord skill. Grudgelord gives him +1 to hit, and if he kills the monster, then he gets double gold. And for a Rat Ogre, that's a lot. I'm going to start with a strike from the axe. It goes and hits the Rat Ogre for 3 points of damage. All right, getting there. He misses the kick, unfortunately. Final attack with the axe, here we go, and I miss. Oh, that's no good. All right, I really want this to happen. He's really hurt, and we're getting close to the end of the game. So I re-roll it with a Lucky Charm, and I miss again. Dang it. All right, Ivor's going to use yet another Lucky Charm, re-roll that, gets a 6, kills the heck out of this rat ogre. Awesome. 100 congratulates him by using heal wounds to heal him up 4. And that's it. All the monsters are dead. We grabbed the key from the tomb and we gotta head back to the beginning. Next round gets us a power score of 6. Now, of course, heading back, I've got no more regular rerolls to redo these power scores. I mean, I still have a couple of lucky charms or luck points left, but I still might need to go to town, so I'd like to hold on to those. But like I said, it doesn't matter. Power score 6 is first one. Ivor is healed 5 points of damage. 100 Naughtiness are healed 1. Next round, power score of 8. Ivor is healed 6 points. Next round, power score of 5. Ivor is healed 1. 100 is healed 1. Not great rolling. Next round, power score 5. Doing better. Everyone's feeling a little healthier. 100 is healed up to full. Ivor is healed 1. Power score 7. Good rolling. 100. Ivor and Naughtiness are healed up to full. I have had to be aware as I move to make sure that everyone is adjacent to Lief's board section. We don't want to leave anyone in the dark, away from the lantern. Anyway, new round, power score of 5. My lead guys are into the Well of Doom. The rest of my guys are in that T section, getting close. Next round, power score of 4. Just keep on moving. Power score 5, almost there. And we get a power score of 1. It was going to happen eventually. But we get another event, not monsters this time. Not only that, another positive one. Secret door. We find a secret door in the room that we're in, and it reveals a second objective room. We can go in there if we want. We roll up another set of objective room monsters. And if we defeat them, we get a roll on the objective room treasure chart, which has some really good stuff in it. Very, very tempting. Let me see if I can break this down. I can get an objective room treasure, but maybe more importantly than that, I get another chance at finding more of these monsters on the level 3, level 4 monster charts. And again, after this, I'm probably going to go up a level. I'm probably only going to be dealing with level 4. My guys are at full health. We should be able to win. On the other hand, that fight that we were in the other room, it took a long time, and it was actually fairly brutal. We did win, but we used up a bunch of my rerolls and a bunch of my really powerful magic items. So if we go in there, we're not going to get our time freeze ring. We're not going to get our chalice of vigor. We're going to be low on rerolls. It could be bad. And of course, I'm like one room away from just completing this whole adventure and being done with it. I have been playing for a while at this point. So we kind of take this longing look at this really cool secret door that we found and this very cool idol chamber that we're passing by, but we tear our eyes away and we put our head down and move into that starting torture chamber, open up the box, get the crown. Game's over, we win. All right, the guys did pretty well. This was battle level 3, and my guys are on the higher experience level of that thing. We got a lot of good magic items. I wasn't surprised that we won, but I was very happy with some of the challenges that we fought in there. Got to fight some of the new monsters. Ivor got smashed into the ground. We burned through a bunch of our resources. I mean, yeah, I don't know if Lief took a single point of damage in the whole game. He was always stranded somewhere else fighting weaker monsters. But yeah, Ivor, Naughtiness, and 100 sure took some serious hits. It was good. And that's nice because it probably will be a while before I go and do the next one because I'm going up to battle level 4. My guys are all packing up their stuff and we're going to take a long hike into the city to get ourselves some training. Now, I decided to go to a city because usually when I have a whole bunch of gold and I want to do something like train, I don't want to mess up on the rolls to find the locations that we need to train and not be able to do it or not be able to find the items in the stores that I want. Thing is, reading through the rules, I only want to level up the Barbarian, the Wizard, and the Dwarf, and I don't think any of those guys actually need to find a special location in town to level up. And since I'm not spending any of my money on equipment, because, again, I'm spending it all on leveling up, and I don't have anything I really need to buy, I could have just gone to a town. But I didn't realize that as I was setting off, and so we're going to try and make 6 rolls on the random events table for traveling. Oh, but first, the reward for completing the mission. Lief gets pretty stones. It's an orcish magic item. You roll on a chart to see what they're worth. They're worth nothing. These orcs don't know how to collect gems. 100 gets a spear, though. The spear is dope. It can be used once per adventure. You can huck it at someone on the same board section as you, and on a 3+, you put 3d6 wounds onto the target. On a 1 or 2, you miss, but man, those are good. All our guys should have spears. Naughtiness Maximus picks up the Talon of Death, which is also pretty good. Once per adventure causes d6 wounds to every monster adjacent to him with no deductions for toughness or armor. And Ivor Shando gets Talisman of Alcadizar. It's kind of dumb. It's some protection against necromantic magic. But on to the travel rules. First off, we get 45. Which road? Well, we drank too much in celebration on our way back. We get lost. We end up at a fork in the road, and we're not sure which way to go. On a 1, 2, or 3, we're right, and we continue our journey as normal. On a 4, 5, or 6, we end up in a village, which doesn't help us at all. Fortunately, I roll a 1, 2, or 3, so by dumb luck, we head on the right direction. Next, we get a 42, which is a flood, meaning we can either abandon our journey and just head on to the next adventure, we can't get to town, or we can pay a ferryman 20 gold. 20 gold, great deal. We move on. Next, we get Militia, number 61. They demand 30 gold to let us pass. Fine. We're bleeding money, but we're still making progress. Next, we get Lightning, which is about the worst one we can roll. It means a random character loses a piece of armor. I can lose magic items, that's not such a big deal, but losing armor eats. It's hard to replace and it's important. So I'm going to use one of Naughtiness Maximus's rerolls to reroll the 1s digit, and we get a 6 again. That doesn't help, that's the exact same thing. Fine, I'll use up yet another one of his rerolls, burning through these things, and we get 34, which is Bad Map. Bad map is also not good. Means we don't get to the city, we have marked it wrong on our map, and we're going to a village instead. Okay, I can't put up with that. Fine. 100, you're up. Naughtiness obviously can't do this. I'm going to use one of his rerolls. Again, reroll the 10s, and this time we get 64. 64 means that Lief tumbles off of a cliff. My guys are just not good at the outdoors stuff. Lief falls off a cliff. We have to add 2 weeks to our journey. That's not great, and he also has to pay 30 gold to get it mended in town. Alright, so we've taken a step back, but we just got to keep moving. Next event is going to be a 63, which is Traveling Minstrel. Not great, but not really anything I can do about it right now. The Traveling Minstrel says that he's really popular in the town that we're going to, but when we get to the town, we have to roll a d6, and there's a chance that they just toss us out because they hate this guy so much. Next event we get is 41, which, as you might expect, means that we're lost. We end up at a village again, and we're told that we can keep going. It's just going to take us 6 weeks of travel to get there. So it's like I'm starting over from the very beginning. All right, I don't want to deal with that. I'm going to use Lief's luck point, which means that I'm out of my lucky trinkets. We're down to Lief's luck points, meaning he's basically out of rerolls. But I do reroll the 10s digit and I get 51, which is an uneventful week, finally. Okay, 2 weeks to go. We can do this. The next one I get is 23, which is Plague. The Warhammer world is just such a beautiful and wonderful place, great for traveling. Means we can either stay in a plague-ridden town and roll in a chart and see what that entails, or we can go on to the next adventure. Don't want to do either of those things. And Naughtiness Maximus is up next. He's going to use his one and only luck point. We're running real low on these rerolls. And we get Waylaid, meaning we add another week to our journey, so right back where we started. Nothing we can do though, keep moving forward. We find a peddler, a number 16. Hey, peddlers are great, this is a good one. Everyone's going to try and buy another lucky charm, we need them. So everyone spends 50 gold, picks up a lucky charm. We have to roll to see if they're fake though. Unfortunately, Naughtiness Maximus is fake, but everyone else gets another lucky charm. Only one roll to go, one roll and we've made it, and we get 31, a witch's cave. Also cool. Alright, we've got it. We get to buy some potions for random effects. Lief has to pay 20 gold, but he gets +1 toughness for the next adventure. Hundert has to spend 40 gold, and his potion doesn't work so well. He's -1 toughness for the next adventure. That's not great, down to toughness 4. Might be a staff adventure, this next one. Naughtiness, Maximus, and Ivor, well, Naughtiness pays 30, Ivor pays 20, and they both get the best result, which is +1 permanent wound. What I wanted. Always got to roll on those witches' caves, because good source of extra wounds. And with that, we finally make it to town. So now we find ourselves at the gates of the city, but we still have to roll for that minstrel, and we are just about tapped out of rerolls. So I hope this goes well, and it does. We roll the best result, a 6. So they love this minstrel. They think his music is great. They shower us with coin. So Lief gets another 30 gold, 100 gets 40, Naughtiness gets 40, and Ivor gets 10. Ivor's the guy who kind of needs the money. He's been rolling not real well on the gold rewards this game. But that doesn't matter because we get to go in and we get to train. The nice thing about having a nice long dungeon with lots of encounters is that we've made a bucket load of gold. Not only that, we also get to check for some of the investments that my characters have picked up over the years. Lief rolls pretty well. His investments give him an extra 70 gold, and 100 does about the same, gets himself 60. So both Lief and 100 have all the gold they could possibly need to train themselves up to battle level 4. Ivor is not quite in the same situation. He did reasonably well thanks to killing off all those rat ogres, including the one with the Grudge Lord skill, but he has to sell off a couple of things in order to get the requisite 8,000. Including the Sword of Destruction, a magic axe, a magic mace, the Armor of Fortune, and the Talisman of Al-Khadizr. But he does scrape together the funds, hasn't got much left. But that means the whole party's going to be at level 4. I don't really feel the need to get Naughtiness Maximus up to level 5. He can sit tight where he's at. So let's go over what Lief gets. Lief the Legbiter, our Barbarian, goes up to level 4. He gets to roll an extra d6 wounds. He rolls a 1 though, but when you roll a 1, you get to re-roll it once for free. So he ends up with a 5, which is great. He also gets +1 initiative, which doesn't matter at all. He gets +1 luck. He also gets a new skill, which for him is going to be Reaction Strike. Kind of an awesome one. Whenever monsters are placed next to him, he can make 1 attack. Doesn't get any death blow or psychology effects with that though. We'll do Ivor next since he's a little bit simpler. He gets +1 ballistic skill, +1 strength, which is nice, and an extra 4 wounds. 100 Luftballoon, because he's a wizard, his process is a little bit more involved. He does get an extra 2 wounds, which is not great, and an extra point of ballistic skill. But then we have to go and figure out what new spells he learns. We roll 4 dice to find out what our levels are. I get a 1, 6, 5, and 4. So a level 1, level 6, level 5, level 4. I can combine those for a higher level spell, but I don't really feel the need to do that just yet. In the end, the level 1 spell I get is Open, which means that I don't have to worry about this portcullis anymore. I can just use that spell to pop that thing open. Acid Blast, Fireball, and Shield. Acid Blast is kind of a cool spell. It is a damaging spell that goes down one of the orthogonal directions on the board, and if it kills the monster that hits first, it keeps on going. Fireball is kind of nice. I always overlooked it because as it's printed on the card, it's pretty mediocre, but in the rulebook, you get to add your battle level to the damage, which makes it pretty nice in some situations. And finally, Shield. A decent defensive spell. You cast it on someone, it's my level 6, and they are only affected by to hit rolls of 6 when the monsters go to strike them. So that just leaves us with Naughtiness Maximus, who has to spend a week in town while the rest of the people train. He's got to pay for food and lodging, which is expensive because we're in a city and he has a dog, so he has to feed his Chaos Hound. And I'm a little nervous about it because he is out of rerolls and he has died in town before. He got into a duel and ended up getting stabbed through the heart and only survived because he had a luck point. He hasn't got that right now. So on the first day, he goes to visit his fighting school, manages to find it. It's a city, it's not hard. And to get in, he has to get into a fight. There's a random chart that you have to roll on when you first enter the fighting school. Anyway, he gets into a pit fight and he manages to win. So he earns himself 150 gold, which is pretty nice. For a settlement event, he gets Uneventful Day. However, he's a pit fighter, so that actually goes onto a separate chart that he's got, which is called Tattle. So someone sees him and goes to report him to his old master, assuming that I escaped. Well, I did, but guess what? I already paid off my debt, so that doesn't bother me at all. Day 2, and because I am a Lout of Chaos, I am going to go into the alehouse. While I'm at the alehouse, drinking to my heart's content, I get into a weird conversation with someone who brings up out of the blue that if you cover yourself in a blend of pig fat and some other things, you can make yourself extra slippery and avoid one damaging attack once per adventure. So, useful information, I guess, but weird thing to bring up. For my settlement event, I get double ones, which means I am unceremoniously tossed out of town. Well, nothing I can do about that, and honestly, makes sense. I guess I kind of got a little carried away at the alehouse, too impressed by the idea of covering myself in pig fat. May have tried that a little bit sooner than was really required. Nonetheless, it means I don't have to roll on any more of these settlement events, so I'm not going to get any of the worse results. It also means I don't have to pay my living expenses for the remainder of my time here, which saves me some cash because eventually I do want to go up to level 5 at some point. Maybe not this town, though. This one clearly doesn't like me. So me and my dog gotta wait out in the forest while the rest of the party trains. I do have one more die roll to make. On the score of a 1, the guards rob me as I'm getting yeeted over the city walls. But thankfully I don't roll that 1 because, again, I can't re-roll it because I'm out of re-rolls. And so I keep my money, which is good because I have a lot of it. But there it is. That's the most recent adventure of the Louts of Chaos, the Return the Crown mission from the Tomb Chamber. Leave a comment below if you have any questions, observations, or concerns. It probably will be a while until I can get the next one because I gotta paint up a bunch of level 4 monsters, which is gonna take a bit, but at least I got to do 2 adventures at level 3. Beyond that, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.